Okay, hopefully this is now working and people can see me. You know what, this is my first time really trying this, and I thought it like, oh, okay, I'll just schedule it and then instantly it's gonna turn on and I'm gonna be live. But then no, it didn't happen, and then there's no button to go inside, and okay, whatever. It's working now. Thank you to anyone who's watching this. I need a drink. Technical difficulties? Yes, Dave, I know you're a computer dude. I wish you were here to help me with this. Okay, so this is, I think it's pretty much my first time being live on the internet. The only other time I really was live was during Battlestar Galactica auction, and I was auctioning off some Battlestar Galactica memorabilia because I'm a huge sci-fi fan. Oh, and then like I can see these little chat things in the bottom. It's really cool. I'm gonna just put because I have my other phone, this is my old phone. I'm gonna put this up over here so I can see better when you guys are chatting to me and asking me questions. So today, what am I going to do? I'm going to recap a little bit of 2018, and I'm going to answer some of your questions and then talk a bit about what I'm doing in 2019. So let me just put this thing up, and I have a piece of paper over here because sometimes I even forget where I've been and what I've been doing. Cincinnati. Oh boy. Okay. So, really, my traveling started in the middle of August 2017. That's when I first had my leave of absence from my job, and I went to France and I walked the GR65, which is the Lapua Camino, and then some of the Norte, and then the Camino English. And that was kind of like my hiking warm-up because I was super out of shape. If you look on those videos, like I was dying. I was having a really bad time at it. And then started to get my hiking fitness back. I had to come home back to Canada because I had to go to the Chinese embassy 2 times to get a Chinese visa so I could enter Beijing and then go on to North Korea. And so I did the 10 days in North Korea, which was a unique and very eye-opening experience. Then I went to Nepal and I spent a month there. I did the Annapurna circuit, the full circuit. Most people only do a partial, but I did the full circuit, including the sanctuary. And a bit of time in Bali. I went to Antigua and Montserrat, and then Pacific Crest Trail. And I spent 6 months and I think 1 day in the United States doing that trail. I had it in my head that I was gonna finish it in like 4 months. Yeah, that definitely did not happen. I think what really held me up in that was flipping, because when I got to the Sierra, they had this kind of like the second big snow dump, and I was not going in there. I just heard too many horror stories of people going in, having to tent for 2 days, unable to progress, running out of food and coming back out. And so that was the main decision to flip, just so I could continue hiking and not have to backtrack a whole bunch of sections. And then after the PCT, where did I go? I came home. I'm like, sometimes I even forget what I've been up to. And I was gonna get my tooth pulled at that time, but there wasn't enough time before I had my next scheduled trip, which was the Ruta de la Lana and Malaga Mozarbe Camino, and now home for Christmas. And I'm kind of sad because I was going to go to Patagonia. That was my original plan for January, but because of this tooth coming out, I have to stick around because there could be complications with healing, and it's just not a good situation to be random in the middle of Patagonia. So that's kind of like the recap where I'm at. Sorry, I'll put this thing up so I can see if you guys are typing anything to me. And if you have a question while I'm talking, just type it to me and then I'll kind of answer it as I go. Okay. This is so weird. I feel like I need to be doing something at every second. Okay. All right. Okay. Now, oh, now I can see people thing here. Okay. So Pearly, he's still in contact with Squish and Lost. Yes. Lost, not so much. He's doing his thing down in Florida. But Squish I talk to quite often. I actually was chatting with him yesterday about the new Salomon Odyssey Triple Crown shoes coming out, because we like the same gear. We both like really ultralight stuff, and we both enjoy the Salomon shoe. And he's been busy. He's been doing a lot of ski stuff. And I'm kind of envious of that, because right now here in Ontario, it's pretty brown. We did have a white Christmas, but it melted away and there's only a little bit on the ground. So it's not really the best place to be outdoors right now. Squish is working. He's back at his insurance job, and I'm sure he's saving up for a future adventure. But right now he's happy just doing his weekend ski trips. Okay, another question. Whatever possessed you to come up with the bridge dance? Okay, so, you know, I have a lot of time on my own when I'm hiking, and sometimes my mind just goes crazy places. Being in the desert, it's so dry, and there were no bridges, no running water, nothing for a long time. And I really missed all that green stuff. And so one day in the early parts of the desert, I don't even remember what day it was, I saw a bridge, and then I just made that song up, and then I just kept doing it. And then I thought it was just gonna be like a one-time thing, and then I was getting requests for this bridge dance, so I'm like, okay, I guess this is part of me. The bridge dance is now one with Sara Dhooma. Okay, another question. Where do you work, and how do you get so much time to go hiking? So I work, I did work for a long time for a large collaborative family medicine practice. We served a large community in my city in Kitchener-Waterloo. I started out there as a medical secretary. Well, actually, to go even further back from that, I went to university for history and archaeology, and then I had the opportunity to participate in a program called Canada World Youth, where I spent a few months living in Vietnam with a host family, and I had a volunteer work placement, and then a few months in Canada for the second part of the program. So that took up about 8 months of my life altogether. And when I was in Vietnam, it was my first time being outside of basically Ontario. I had never experienced the world, and I was just, this is what I want to do. I need to see more of this world. So I didn't go back to university. I thought, I need to get a job, I need to save up money, and I need to travel the world. So I went to a temp agency. They placed me at a hospital. I worked at the hospital. I got to know some of the doctors there, and then I was invited to join a small practice as a medical secretary. Even though I didn't have a background in being a medical secretary, it's just something I picked up really quick. And I was there for like 15 years, and it grew from like a small little place to a big place, and I was the administrative assistant for the office. And well, and they were great. I took 2 leaves of absences with them before the Pacific Crest Trail leave. I had 10-month around the world trip when I was 24, 25, and then in 2014 I had the 5 months on the Appalachian Trail. Okay, and question from Pat. Why did you choose to dry your socks on your shoulder? Why not dry them on your feet? Because when your socks are damp and wet, and you leave them on your feet, you might have a problem with like fungus or bacterial growth. You want your feet to dry out at night. So like my shoulder or my leg, or sometimes I even put the socks just against my belly. wherever else, you know, those are safe places where the damp, wet sock is not going to affect my skin and cause a rash or further irritation. So I like to wear just no socks if it's warmer, or a brand new clean pair of socks to keep my feet happy. Karen, love your bridge dance. Thank you. Jose, do you know the Portuguese Camino to Santiago? Yes, I do. In 2015, I walked from Porto to Santiago. Just a quick Camino. I wish I had started further south. I actually would like to go back to Portugal and walk the coastal Camino route, you know, just add it onto my list, my ever-growing list of upcoming Camino wish list things. So just the short Porto to Santiago. And I do have videos if you look in my Portuguese Camino playlist, so you can see that. And I have so many questions now. How did I get the trail name Carmen Sandiego from Bernie? So when I started the Appalachian Trail in 2014, on the second day, I met a fellow named Salty, and he had been following me on trail journals. And so a year before the Appalachian Trail, I was typing all these entries about my preparation. And I had put a lot of information about my travel backpacking stuff. And so on the second day we were chatting, and he said, "You're like, where in the world is Carmen Sandiego came to life?" And then that became my trail name, Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego? And I like the trail name, except for one point. There was a second Carmen Sandiego in 2014 on the Appalachian Trail, and I never met her. I've never met her, but I'm going to say she's a bad person because she was writing graffiti on shelter, posts, and signs, Carmen Sandiego. And then people were thinking it was me. And I was like, no, I would never do that. I would never deface any kind of trail property. Like, come on. So when I saw Carmen Sandiego's written places, I was kind of scratching it out and trying to make it look a little more, little better. And some people were saying for the Pacific Crest Trail, oh, are you going to get a new trail name? And I was like, well, you know, some people already know me as Carmen Sandiego, so let's just stick with that. Okay. And there's also a second part. Are you going to finish up the Appalachian Trail? Oh, yes, I am. Don't worry. Don't worry. I've only done from Georgia to Connecticut. And I know from Connecticut to Maine is the best bit. So I'm not going to miss out on the best bit. Now, the only question is, do I just finish that section? Or do I start all over again from Georgia? Or do I go southbound from Maine? You know, I don't know what I'm going to do. I've been thinking about it, you know, I was thinking about even this summer trying to finish that part up, but we'll see what happens with timing and what I'm going to be doing. I have a question from something else, posted on the old chat, and I'm just going to answer that one here. This is from Elvis Parsley 8. What tent did you use on the PCT ZPacks Duplex? Did you like it? So I don't have a ZPacks Duplex. I did use for a short time before the Appalachian Trail a ZPacks tent, and I didn't like the entryway. I found like I had to crawl on my knees to get in and out, and then my knees were getting wet and dirty and muddy, and the tent used like 8 stakes to set up, and it didn't have like a ground sheet built into it, and it was annoying me. And so I decided to buy in 2013 a 6 Moons Design Skyscape X tent, and that's the tent I've been using ever since for solo trips. It is a wonderful Cuban fiber shelter. Unfortunately, 6 Moons Designs is not manufacturing it at this time. They do have other tents that are somewhat similar, but you know, that Skyscape X will always be in my heart. And I'm going to use that tent until the end of time. I'm just going to hope. It's starting to break down in points, like the zipper broke, I got it replaced. So I'm just going to try to keep refreshing it and using it further. But a lot of my friends have used the duplex and they like it, but that Skyscape X, like unbeatable, unmatched tent of all time. Okay, so let's go back to see what else you guys are saying here. Don Martin, I'm only partway through your PCT journey, but if someone had asked me why it took you longer than you originally thought, I would have said party. Well, okay, yeah, that is definitely part of it. You know, before I flipped, when I was just kind of hiking with Squish, we had a good kind of system, and there's lots of other people around for support. But when we flipped, it was just Squish, Lost, and I, and then Rally and Cowbell and Moonshine and Bean Dip kind of came in and out of our little group. But it was just the three of us. And so if somebody was hurt, if somebody had to wait for a package, you know, that kind of stuff, we wanted to keep the group together. And so that really also did slow down my pace. And if somebody decided to have too many drinks and maybe wanted to leave town later in the day, you know, that it happens, you know, having some fun. Okay, question from Pearly. Have you hiked the Bruce Trail? I've only done sections. I've hiked, I would say only about like 15% of the entire Bruce Trail. I would like to do it as one big through hike. Unfortunately, it's not really set up for backcountry camping. It's quite discouraged because there's a lot of private land and there aren't very many places that you can legally tent. Now, there have been many people who have stealth camped, so you know, you're walking off the trail to an out of the way place at dusk, setting up, leaving in dawn, leave no trace. And so I might do that stealth camp route for the Bruce Trail. I figure it would take me about 30 days to walk. It's about 700 kilometers. Okay. Flame dancer. Smokey, hey! Smokey's here. I hiked with Smokey in part of Washington State, and he's pretty cool, pretty fun guy. Brian, did you make it to Kernville? I did go to Kernville. Trail Angel April picked me up, and Batgirl and Legs and Squish, and we went to Kernville and we had something to eat. We went to the brewery, I believe, and then stayed Lake Isabella with April in her home. Actually, no, maybe she doesn't live in, maybe she lived in Kernville. You know, it's a little hazy, but no, I didn't really visit Kernville. You know, I was supposed to go whitewater rafting there, and I had made a plan with Squish, but then I went out with April, and the next day I was in no condition to go whitewater rafting. So that's kind of a regret that I missed out on doing that in Kernville. Me Matthews, 6 Moons Designs. Well, we'll see what happens about that. And Flame Dancer, where are you now? I'm at home. This is my apartment in Kitchener, Ontario. I'm not here that often, but it's because of the stupid tooth that I have to hang around here. And then Mashi, yes, I was going to, sorry, I didn't get to your question earlier. How do I overcome fears for women to travel alone on the Camino? Okay. You know, people ask me this all the time, even when I'm on the Camino. 99%, probably 99.9% of people in this world are good. So if you're on the Camino and you run into trouble, I'm telling you, someone will help you out. People are kind. If somebody is bothering you, if you let another person know, they will help you out. If you are lost, people will give you directions. If you run out of water, people will give you water. If anything you need, it's been in my experience, the Camino will provide, because you know, if you want to experience life, you need to get out there and take some risks. And you know, it's just, if you follow also basic common sense, like don't walk in the dark. Try and be at the albergue before nightfall. Unfortunately, on the Camino, people eat really late. If you're uncomfortable going out in a big city at night to eat, then maybe just go to a grocery store and get some groceries and eat at the albergue rather than going out in the streets at night. And men, if you know, talking about women and men don't seem to really bother Camino pilgrims. They know that they're just people passing through, and I've always been treated with respect. So you know, it's how to overcome fears. You know, the only thing to do is get out there, and after a few days you'll be fine. Don't worry about it. I hope that answered your question. Matthews. Okay, bye Mike. Have fun. Okay. Do you have a big spring summer hike? Oh, well, so my hiking plans coming up. At the end of January, I'm going to Curacao with my mom, and that's just a 1-week trip. Then I'm coming home for about a week, and then I'm going to Greece for a week and a half with Daryl. And that's not really a hiking trip. Well, am going to schedule some hiking, but that's not the main focus. And then I come home for about half a week, and then I am flying at the end of February to Israel. And I am hiking the Israel National Trail. So this trail runs the course of Israel. I believe it's 1,100 kilometers. About 200 people attempt it every year. And it's supposed to take between 45 and 60 days. I only have 45 days total in the country of Israel, so I'm gonna have to walk this one pretty quick if I'm going to finish. And I'm going to start in the desert, and then I'm going to go north. So I'm going to be doing the most difficult section first, and then in the north, things should be green with wildflowers, and I'm looking forward to that. I've never been to Israel before. I've been to other countries in the Middle East. I've been all around there. I've been to Egypt, Jordan, Syria, Lebanon, but never Israel. So this is going to be a totally new experience for me. And then, then I'm gonna come home, and I'll probably be home for 1 week, and then I'm going to fly to New Mexico, because I'm going to do the Continental Divide Trail. And New Mexico the shuttle schedule has not come out, because they have a shuttle that goes to the monument. And so when that shuttle schedule comes out, then I will book my flight. Continental Divide Trail, if you walk the kind of official route, it's 3,100 miles, but there's all these alternatives and kind of cut-off routes that you can do. So most people say it's about 2,800 miles. So I kind of like that choose your own adventure part of it, because depending on weather and conditions, you can kind of tailor your hike to what's going to be the best in terms of scenery and difficulty and enjoyment. So that's kind of cool. And then after the Continental Divide Trail, I don't know exactly what I'm going to be doing. I hope to finish at the Canadian border before it starts to snow in Montana. And if I finish before that time, I'm gonna have some extra time in the United States, because I only get 6 months a year in the US as a Canadian citizen. So if I have extra time, then I'm going to finish that Southern Oregon Pacific Crest Trail section, or maybe part of the Appalachian Trail, or some other kind of trail in the US. Okay, questions here. Pearly, do you know the amount that you spent hiking the Pacific Crest Trail? You know, I haven't added it up. I had most of the gear If you wanted to have a really frugal hike, you could get by on $100 US a week, not including gear or like super big one-time purchases. If you want to have a more comfortable hike, I would say about $200 US a week up. Do you keep, another question, Pearly, do you keep track of the total distance you have hiked? No, I don't even know. You know, someone asked me, how many miles did you hike in 2018? I'm like, I don't know. You know, that's not important to me. People were even asking me on the Malaga Camino, like, how far are you walking? How far is it from Malaga to Cordoba? And I'd be like, I don't know exactly. I just go. I just kind of look ahead for the section or the stage. How many kilometers is that? And that's good enough. The overall total means nothing. Question from Karen: does your mom hike? Well, not really. My mom's, you know, she's older. She's as an older person, she prefers more of her comforts. You know, she's probably watching right now going, I'm not old. Well, older than me. She did walk a large portion of the Camino Frances with me in 2014, and she did very well, like exceeded my expectations. And she, you know, she was doing 40-kilometer days, and I remember there's this girl from Iceland, and she said, "You are so mean to your mom. She's doing 40 kilometers a day." But I'm like, hey, my mom wants to do it. It was my mom's idea, you know. We talked about like the stages, and we pushed those big miles. So she is capable of it, but does she enjoy it as much as me? No, not. I would say not at all. Okay. Question from Dave: do you need a special visa to go to Israel? As a Canadian citizen, no. I thank goodness for having a Canadian passport all the time, because you know, it lets me in anywhere I want to go. I also am very thankful for being Canadian for healthcare. I know a big barrier for Americans taking time off and doing long distance trail is losing their medical coverage. And that is a tough one. And I wish that the American system was like the Canadian, and everyone had great healthcare, because I think it's a basic human right. Sorry to digress. Flame dancer, what is your job? Well, I quit my job because my leave of absence came up before I was finished the Pacific Crest Trail, and I couldn't. That's the reason why I didn't finish the Appalachian Trail, is because my leave of absence was coming to an end, and I didn't have enough time to finish. And it broke my heart to leave the Appalachian Trail before I was finished, because I had a great trail family, the Fun Factory. I talk to them all the time. Like even today we have like a Facebook Messenger group, and even today I'm still chatting with them. And when it came up for the Pacific Crest Trail, like I was like, no, I'm not going through that heartbreak again. I'm gonna quit my job, and I'm gonna finish to Canada. So I did that. And so since I quit my job, then I thought, okay, before I get a new career, I might as well do all the traveling I can do. Because once I get a new job and a new career, I'm back down to 2 or 3 weeks of vacation time a year. I'm back the low person in the vacation request list. So right now I am spending my life savings, and when those life savings run out, that's when I'm getting a job back. And how do I afford the adventures? And when most of you probably know, maybe some of you guys don't know, that I had a life-threatening condition December 2015 where I almost died. And that was like my big wake up, like I need to start checking off my bucket list items now, because I now have a medical condition that can potentially strike at any time, and you know, I want to live my life knowing that without any regrets, that I've done everything I possibly can to, you know, be happy and fulfilled. And so if that condition happens and I pass away abruptly or whatever happens, you know, I'm not gonna be sad about it. I'm gonna, you know, be happy. I don't want to talk about my pulmonary embolism. That's sad stuff. Okay. And Pearly, you don't have to answer this. How old are you? Oh, it's no secret. I'm 37. Sometimes I act a lot older than that. Usually not. Usually I act a lot younger than that, but yeah, I'm 37. Don Martin, if you're doing the CDT, you have to do the GDT at some point. Yes. GDT, that is Squish's trail. He has been talking about that forever. Like, I think when Squish's hike does the next hike, it's going to be the GDT, especially since he lives in Alberta, so that's his hometown. So, you know, that is a possibility. If I get to the Canadian border soon enough, I may be able to do a portion of the GDT before it gets too snowy. We'll see how fast I move. We'll see if I'm in good shape after the Israel Trail and I can really kind of hit those big miles on the CDT right away. Drew, oh, thank you. Everything awesome. And okay, so I have another question here from Mashi about reservations on the Camino. So on the Camino, it depends which one you're doing. I'm going to assume you're going to be starting off with the Camino Francis. That is the most popular route. If you are hiking in high season, there are thousands and thousands and thousands of pilgrims, and it becomes like a highway of walkers. So the municipal albergues usually do not accept reservations. It's first come, first serve. So then unfortunately it becomes a bit of a bed race. So, you know, people are getting up sometimes 3 in the morning to make their kilometers so they can get their spot in that albergue. However, if you want to take your time and be a little bit more relaxed with walking, I would suggest reserving the day ahead for a private albergue. Those ones are going to cost you maybe 10 euros a night, and municipal ones are about like 5 euros a night, so a little bit more. But that way you know you have a bed reserved and you can take your time, stop for some cerveza, some coffee, and know that you're going to have a great bed. And because if you arrive somewhere and everything's full, you might have to sleep on the floor. And so that's why some Camino pilgrims take sleeping mats with them, or even tents, or they just sleep outside. But if you're doing a quieter route or you're in off season, then yeah, don't worry about it. Just show up when you show up. That's what I do. And it's, you know what, it's always worked out. Sometimes it's been a little, but it's always worked out in the end. Okay, go back into this thing here. Oh, you're doing Lapua Norte Primitivo. Oh, all right. Lapua Camino, yes, you will have to reserve in advance because the jeets are usually like farmhouses, and usually in the price of your bed includes a dinner, so they need to know you're coming to make enough food for the dinner. So yes, for Lapua, 1 day in advance reserve. The Norte, the municipal ones you can't reserve in advance, but there are some private ones you can. Primitivo I haven't done, so I don't know what that situation is, but yeah. Anthony Gucci, you got a Gucci belt? No, I don't have a Gucci belt. That's so weird. How heavy is your pack on the Camino and the PCT? On the PCT, when I have everything dialed in, it is 6 pounds without food and water. On the Camino, because I don't have to carry so much food and water, I can take a little more luxury stuff. It's probably more around 8 pounds, I would say. Flame Dancer, have you ever thought of doing Everest Base Camp Trek? I have, and I did do it in 2013. 2018 with my friend Daisy. I have a traveling friend named Daisy. She lives in Seattle, and we met on Kilimanjaro. And we've been friends for years, and we've done a couple trips together, and Everest Base Camp was one of those trips. So we didn't have a guide, we didn't have a porter, it was just two of us girls with a map and our backpacks, and we made our, we had a rough idea of where we wanted to stop for the night, but we also had flexibility. Like if we were feeling tired, we stopped in a village earlier. If we had a lot of energy, we could go on further. So we really like that flexibility, because if you're with a tour on Everest Base Camp, you got to follow that schedule. And that can be very dangerous because of altitude sickness. Everyone adapts to elevation at different rates. And if the group is pushing ahead and you are sick and you cannot push ahead, then you feel the pressure to go with them, or you have to abandon your entire trip. So I think it's a horrible, horrible situation. If anybody wants to do Everest Base Camp, send me an email and I will help you plan it as a solo person. You do not need a guide. You do not need a porter. You can just go. Unless, you want to carry a lot of stuff, then by all means take a porter and support the local economy. That's cool too. But it's not a necessity for someone who's used to American long distance backpacking. Not at all. And Kathmandu, yeah, been to Kathmandu many times. In Himalayas, I was in Annapurna in 2017. Authentic Max. Hey, I haven't heard from you in a long time. Thank you for Happy New Year's. And Jim Austin, how good or bad is internet and access and cost on this trek? Which trek are you talking about? If you're talking about the Pacific Crest Trail, you're going to get service when you go into town. You're going to get Wi-Fi in town. When you're out in the mountains, it's hit or miss. Usually at the top of something, you're going to find some cell signal, usually, but there are some stretches of a few days where there is nothing. And then cost, well, it depends what trek you're talking about, how much it costs. And let's see if I have other question here. Question from Edgar. On the PCT, is it better to camp off the usual camping spots? Okay, so most people are going to be following Gut Hooks, and Gut Hooks has marked like the best known camping places you can go, and sometimes there's a photo, and some people write comments like, oh, there's a deer that's going to chew your poles, or like how many tents can fit. But there are so many other spots that are not marked on this app. The spots that other people have made and or maybe recently made, and that's why they're not on the Gut Hooks app. So if you prefer a more social experience, or you feel wary about camping alone, then pick the campsites that can fit a lot of tents, because then you're probably not going to be alone at night. If you want to be alone at night, don't pick any of those sites. Just look for those kind of random one-off ones, just off of the trail. And those are great if you want to get a good night's sleep and you don't want to hear anyone else snoring, if you're just like pooped and tired. And also, sometimes the distances between campsites are too large before nightfall, and you don't want to be walking at night for whatever reason. So you might want to take one of those just like random off to the side ones. Okay, I have other questions. And question from Michelle, New Year's and look into the future. Well, I kind of, talked about Israel National Trail and Continental Divide Trail. I have a whole bunch of other trails that I want to do and fit in. Like Patagonia is a big one, so maybe next winter. Hopefully I won't have any more tooth problems. Some people have been talking about this Patagonian trail that they've made. The media got it wrong. This is not a long distance hiking trail. This is more like a road connection between national parks. So it's not really something that anyone's going to walk, this new Patagonian trail. So if I went to Patagonia, I would just be doing smaller like 1 week, couple day hikes here and there and going around the country. And go back here. Oh, Spain. Internet access. Oh, the internet in Spain is better than the internet in my house. It's really, really quick. The SIM cards are super cheap. Canada is very expensive. Pretty much every village bar has Wi-Fi access. There were some places that didn't have it, but for majority of the time, there's plenty of internet. And then costs depend on if you're staying in an albergue or a hostel or a hotel. So when you hear the word hostel, you're probably thinking of a dormitory with a whole bunch of bunks. Hostels in Spain means that it's a hotel without a dining room. That's the way they classify it. So a hotel will have like a big dining room area, restaurant attached. A hostel will just be like a regular hotel without a lot of extra fuss. And then albergue will be kind of more the dorm type environment. So albergue is like €5 a night, and hostels are like 15 to 30 euros a night, and then hotels up from there. So it depends on how luxurious you want your Camino to be, how much it's going to cost. I'm going to do a section of the PCT in 220. Which one should I do? It depends how long you have, man. You know. Have I watched Hurl Goat's video? Fun Canadian too. You know, I haven't watched a lot of YouTube videos because I've been traveling and busy myself. So now I have some more downtime before I go back out. So I am definitely going to be checking out more YouTuber videos. And Rob, Redbeard hike. So Rob wrote that myself and Redbeard inspired him to hike the AT in 2015. That's awesome. I met Redbeard in 2014. We crossed paths a few times. He's a cool dude. So that's great. Cycle freak, do the bridge dance. There's no bridge here. I can't do a bridge dance in my apartment. Oh, that's funny. All right, well, you know what? Bridge dance. I can't do a bridge dance in here. You know what? Where I'm sitting is right in front of the heater, and it's really hot. That's why I'm starting to sweat. So, bridge dance. Oh my god! No, I'm not doing the bridge. Oh, all right. Well, okay. Yes, I owe you a bridge dance. Live chat bridge dance. Okay, I promise you. On the next live chat, put down the ironing board and use it as a bridge. That's actually not an ironing board. It's one of my mattresses that are too big to fit in my closet. Okay, so next live chat, I'll do my next live chat from a bridge, and I will do I will bridge dance there. I don't know when that's going to be, but I promise the next live chat will be on a bridge. How's that? Thank you to everyone who sent me questions and for watching. If you have more questions, you can send them to me and I'll just save them up for the next time I'm live. And Happy New Year to everybody, and Merry Christmas to everybody. Happy Festivus. And I hope you guys continue watching in 2019. And I'm going to have like lots of videos, like how-to videos and gear videos and all that stuff. So, all right. Thanks. Okay, bye-bye. Live long and prosper.